Hey, we all need one another. That's the message today and this week. This again comes from the John Maxwell and Rob Hoskins book called Change Your World. We're in the middle of, I guess we could say now. This is the third chapter that we're talking about. And in that chapter, that chapter is titled, We All Need One Another. And this was a great chapter about the concept of team and what it means to be a team and how we just can't do this thing, whatever things that we want to do that are going to make a difference in the world or in our world at the very least. We can't do it alone. We need others. Okay. I'm going to draw upon some of these quotes from the book. If you didn't listen to my podcast episode earlier this week on the Great Quotes for Coaches podcast, you need to listen to that because I have a lot more in there. It was a longer episode. This chapter was as impactful to me as any in the book. And one of the main reasons is a story I'll get to later in this episode. I'm not going to go into as much detail on it. You need to get this book, Change Your World, John Maxwell and Rob Hoskins, because there's so much great stuff in it. But the story about Casey Crawford, a former NFL player, and what he has done post NFL career, it's become remember last week was become a catalyst for change. That story, as much as anything else, was the catalyst that said to me, Scott, you need to do this project that I've now started really pushing a little bit more and pushing a little bit more. I'm planning on you hearing about it in the 10th episode of this series that we're doing. So we all need one another. I'm going to just read a few of the quotes. The first one was right from the start. Mother Teresa, I can do what you cannot, and you can do what I cannot. Together, we can do great things. Isn't that the essence of a team? Don't we bring people together from, various skill levels, different types of skills, different things that they bring to the team, and all of us together become the team if we do some of the things that you're going to hear as we continue on here. There was a heading in the book that said, "We is more important than me," and that's something that I've long believed, and it's something that when I speak for proactive coaching in a few of our presentations, but a couple of the key ones, we talk about this concept about in the Life Lessons for Athletes presentation and the section on selflessness. We talk about that right there. The we is greater than the me. No matter how, this is from Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, no matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you'll always lose out to a team. Because the strength of a team is the number of members who are bringing, as I just said, all those different ideas and those different skills and strengths to the team. And so they will be able to bring that much more. The whole concept of, two heads are better than one kind of thing. Well, on a team of 12 are better than one. So that's this concept that, playing a solo game against a team, you're going to lose out in that one. Maxwell says the acronym that we've all heard. I'm sure you've heard TEAM. Together, everyone accomplishes more. I'd always heard it as together, everyone achieves more. Same thing, same concept, And so he mentions that, and he says, if you want to change the world and be part of a transformation movement, you need to put we ahead of me. Then he talks about who is more important than how, and the concept of bringing the right people onto your team. It was in this section, and I'm not going to read it, where in the podcast episode I ended up reading it, the famous "Man in the Arena" quote by Teddy Roosevelt. It's one of my all-time favorite quotes. I've used it often in my career. Listen to the podcast episode because I talk more about it. I wasn't even going to, but the main reason I read it was because right after it was a great quote from Dr. Brene Brown, who wrote the book Daring Greatly, the title of which came from the Teddy Roosevelt quote. And she references that quote in her quote. If you have not read The Man in the Arena, you need to look it up, especially those of you who coach and have had your share of people in the stands, both literally and figuratively, just people out on the sidelines, criticizing you for the things that you're doing, even though they have no clue what you're going through, because they're not down in the arena with you. And it's been one of those quotes, and I mentioned it in the podcast episode, that it's given me strength through the years. It's also made me, unfortunately, a little bit more combative or adversarial when some parents or some fans or whatever will be, wanting to complain about what's going on in our program when they have no clue what's going on in our program because they're not there. And so you got to be careful with that too. We'll talk about that someday down the road. I think that's an important topic because, that's on me as well. I should be the bigger person and sometimes recognize they just don't get it because they're out there, and just let it go. And I've done that. I've had to do that through the years. I'm sure you have too. It doesn't make it any easier. And so the Roosevelt quote is one of those that says, yes, exactly. That's exactly what it's like for those of us who are actually in the arena, actually getting work done and trying to make this a better situation for all. And then, as I said, the Brene Brown quote is outstanding too. Her talking about the people that actually give her strength and courage are not those people. They're the people on the team in there working with her. Great idea in there. What unites us is greater than what divides us is a heading that Maxwell had in the book, and Hoskins. Shared values define the team. This came from his book, The 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork, which I think I have. Well, I don't have it here on the shelf. It's somewhere. Maybe it's in my Kindle, whatever. Outstanding. You need to read that one. But yeah, shared values define the team. So then he's talking about the values of you and your people on your team, how they help unify. You want to bring people on your team that have similar values and that you're going to share those. But even when you have people who don't, then you start to work together to build your values and bring them together. If your values and the values of the people on the team match, you'll experience alignment, unity, and effectiveness. If not, you'll never feel like there's a fit. You and they will remain frustrated. So you want to teach them the values and the focus of what your vision is. This is what we do as coaches, and especially if you're intentional about creating a great team culture. You set up, here's what we are, here's who we are, and then you attract people to the team that way. And when you bring people on who maybe don't have that alignment, you need to work with them to get that alignment, or else kind of help them move on to something else. So then he says, once you've determined that we've got an alignment in values, then focus on what you have in common as opposed to what your differences are. It's a huge thing. It's something that I need to be better at as well. I think a lot of us do, is we tend to focus on the things that make us different, and we really should be focusing on what makes us so similar. What unites us. Here's another one from the 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork. All players have a place where they add the most value. Find what that is, and then again, focus on that good thing. So in my sport of basketball, some are shooters, some are great passers, some are screeners, some are rebounders, some are great practice players, some are great cheerleaders on the bench, right? Give value to all of those. Don't just focus on the shooter. That's what everybody likes to focus on, the one who scores a lot. No, focus on all of the values that are brought to this team, because all of the roles have great value. And so make sure that you want to, make sure you praise those people for all those different values that they brought to the team. He does a whole thing on collaboration is more important than cooperation. Oh, this is outstanding. And he quotes this John Kania, I hope I'm saying his name right, and Mark Kramer, and they came up with a method of collaboration called collective impact, in which they mention common agenda, 5 elements: common agenda, shared measurement system, contributing activities, continuous communication, and a support team. This was so good. Not only that, but just Maxwell's concept of why collaboration is better than cooperation. Think of the word cooperation. I'm going to do this. I'm going to cooperate. I'll do what you want me to do, as opposed to collaborate. Let's do this together. We both want this. And it's so good. So again, you got to read the book, because I just can't go through every single thing in it. But I do want to make sure I get to this quickly. The story, the Casey Crawford story, a young man who was in the NFL for 3 years, was on a Super Bowl champion team. Not a big name, but he got to be part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl championship. It was great, right? And he decided after 3 years he wanted more out of his life. He wanted to move from entertainment to impact. The impact he has had on his community in North Carolina is unbelievable. What he has done by building a bank, building a mortgage company, building houses, building schools, building communities, and just the growth. You have to read it. Listen to the podcast episode. But again, read the book, because what this guy did is unreal. Created a foundation to help people in more poorer communities in his community, and creating hospitals and schools. It's just an unbelievable story. And it made me go, this guy is doing the type of thing that I want to do to help young people and to help kids. I need to get off my butt and do it. It was such an inspirational story. What started as a vision to bring a transformative school to a challenged area of our city turned into a holistic, redemptive development, he said. As a person who's always loved being on teams and appreciated the power of teamwork, there's something powerful about seeing a community come together. Anyway, he goes on about what that has done in his community and in his own life, the power that it created for him. Let me close with a couple quotes on team. Patricia Fripp, author, speaker. She says, a team is not just people who work at the same time in the same place. A real team is a group of very different individuals who share a commitment to working together to achieve common goals. I've said this for years, and I've said it in a lot of the presentations that I do. It's us coming together with shared or common goals. Most likely they're not all equal in experience, talent, or education, but they are equal in one vitally important way: their commitment to the good of the organization. This is what we need to be teaching our kids. This is what we need, or those of you who aren't coaches but are leaders of other teams, this is what you need to be teaching your team members. We're here for the good of this organization to make it the best it can be. Too many of us in the coaching and athletic world all think we're here to win games. Yeah, of course we all want. Who doesn't want to win a game? Come on, okay? But if you build a team, and if you get people to commit to team, that's where the winning can start to really come, and you can create consistency of that type of success. Any group of people, your family, your workplace, or your community, get the best results by working as a team. And Maxwell adds to that, if we work together, we can win together, making a difference. And then he quotes Julie Lambert, who said, what does it take to be an effective team? Tolerance of each other's weaknesses, encouragement toward each other's successes, acknowledgement that each of us has something to offer, mindfulness that all of us appreciate those three qualities. Oh, that's so good. So then Maxwell wraps it up with, when individuals put the team ahead of themselves, when they share the same values, when they collaborate together using whatever assets they possess for their cause, they can make a huge difference. If you want to change the world in a big way, then you know what you need to do. Team up. Love it. Love the concept of team. Been a team sport coach for my entire career, 40 plus years. And those of you who are coaching, those of you who are leading teams, you know exactly the feeling. Again, what a powerful chapter in a powerful book. Get it. Change Your World. Rob Hoskins and John Maxwell. I'll see if I can put a link to it down below. I don't know if YouTube is letting me do that yet. I think you have to have had a certain number of subscribers or something like that. But speaking of that, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and get other people on it, because we're going through some great things. Also, my blog posts. Get on Slam Dunk Success, the Slam Dunk Success site if you haven't, and subscribe to get my newsletter so you get the blog posts. And then, of course, get on the Great Quotes for Coaches podcast. All right? All right, next week we'll move to Let's All Get on the Same Page. What a great idea for those of us with teams. We'll talk to you again then.